West Virginia is going all out to revamp the secondary in 2025 and make sure that the pass defense is no longer a weakness at WVU. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast, here for another transfer portal update, January 10th edition, and we've got several members of the secondary to talk about. Of course, I've been covering these almost daily in live streams here on the channel. Hope you're subscribed so you're getting notified when I do go live and talk about this, but figured it was about time to put out a pre-recorded video as well, because I'd planned to do another live stream yesterday evening if more news pieces came out, but really we only had one piece of news come out, and that was the commitment of another defensive back in Devontae Golden Nelson, who we're going to talk about. And then, of course, I want to mention Michael Coach Jr. here because I think it bears mentioning in a pre-recorded video as well, and show you guys a little bit about that guy and why everyone is so excited about that pickup for West Virginia, like we are for a lot of these defensive back pickups that West Virginia is adding. As we know, the secondary was a big area of need, a big area of concern that West Virginia needed to improve to be successful in 2025. You had to focus on that defense because we know with Rich Rod, likely the offense will do its thing, but we need the defense to come along as well, and that's been a weak point through the Neil Brown era and through the Dana Holgorsen era, really, if you look back on both of those eras. So West Virginia trying to not let that be the case in the Rich Rod 2.0 era. Let's talk a little bit about some of these defensive backs that West Virginia is adding to try and prevent that from happening and try and turn a weakness into a strength. And if you would, while you're in here, just do me a favor while you're watching the video. Just take a second, hit that thumbs up button. Really helps us a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't, like I said, be sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll be covering all this transfer portal news, coaching staff news, everything involved with the roster and everything that happens throughout the offseason. We'll try and keep you up to date on here on the CRW. And if you'd like to support us monthly, you can become a channel member here where you get bonus content like film reviews, game rewatches, player grades, videos, members only streams, all kinds of good stuff. We really appreciate that support. Helps keep this mic recording. It helps keep that camera rolling. That's what I always like to say because it's the catalyst that keeps it going here at the CRW. But if you can't support us that way, like I said, fast, easy, and free, just hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe here. But let's talk about some of these defensive backs, starting with the most recent addition, the most recent commitment from the portal, Devontae Golden Nelson. All right, and as you can see, this article that I'm sharing on the screen is from our friends over at WVSportsNow.com. Shout out to Mike Ostie for this one. West Virginia add more depth for the secondary with the Akron cornerback that we're talking about. Devontae Golden Nelson received the commitment from him yesterday evening on January 9th. The 5'10", 180-pound corner spent the past 3 years at Akron after starting his college career with 2 years at Memphis. 66 tackles, 10 pass deflections, and a pair of interceptions during his career with Akron. 33 tackles last year before entering the portal on December 17th, where he then racked up offers from multiple Power 4 programs, including multiple Big 12 programs, with Houston and Oklahoma State also pursuing Golden Nelson. UNLV was in the mix as well, but decides on West Virginia, as you see some of the pictures there from his visit, which he was on campus, I believe, on January 7th. Yes, it was January 7th, confirmed there in the article here on WVSportsNow.com. So now let's pull up our transfer portal tracker, because now we have another transfer in to add to the list, as West Virginia already has 17 names committed at the time I'm recording this video. By the time you're watching it, that list may have grown, and we'll talk more about what names may be popping up as future commitments here towards the tail end of the video as well. But let's look at our transfer portal tracker. All right, so multiple things to address here on our transfer portal tracker, but let's start with doing what's most pertinent that we're talking about here first, and that is, of course, taking Devontae Golden Nelson from our visitor list, which we'll talk more about some of these guys momentarily, as I said, to our transfer in list, where we now have 17 names, as I stated previously, and West Virginia doing a great job over the past about week or so, having a ton of visitors come in and getting multiple of those guys to commit. Remember, this list sat at 5 names just about a week or so ago. West Virginia's added 12 more since then, a lot of them very impressive, and a heavy focus here lately on building up that defensive back room, that secondary that struggled so mightily last year. West Virginia trying to correct that with a lot of new pieces. We see Jordan Walker, Derek Carter, Fred Perry, Michael Coach Jr., and Devontae Golden Nelson, who we just talked about, joining the commitment list. Jordy Scruggs was the first commit, so West Virginia already with 6 defensive back transfers coming in, really trying to revamp that secondary. I think a couple of my favorites, Fred Perry, who I talked about on a recent stream, he's a day one starter at safety. Huge pickup for WVU that they got back into the mix for, and then he fell in love with, I think, on his visit and commits to the Mountaineers. And then Michael Coach Jr., one of the best cornerbacks that was remaining in the transfer portal and has had amazing ratings in PFF, amazing stats nationally as a cornerback. And I know he's coming from Nevada, but he has played some big name schools. They played Ohio State, they played Rutgers, so he has experience against Power 4 teams and has good grades and had good stats and good performances against those teams. So I want to talk a little bit about Michael Coach Jr. really quickly. I know we did a live stream and covered him, but here in a pre-recorded fashion, talk a bit more just to let you guys know with some visual proof here for Michael Coach Jr. Then we'll talk about some more visitors and some more guys that may commit in the near future. All right, so this is a little bit about Michael Coach Jr. just from last season. I think this was at the end of the regular season. He ended up with 17 passes defended, I believe, which he still ended up first in the country there. You can find this picture on his social media there, which is at Mike5OATS, Mike5Oats, if you will, there for Michael Coach Jr., who, like I said, one of the top corners in the country last year, one of the top corners in the portal this offseason, and West Virginia able to get him to commit on his visit. He was scheduled to take a visit to Ole Miss, but instead West Virginia sells him so much on his spot here in the program, what they can do for him and what he can do for WVU, that he decides to commit and not even take that visit to Ole Miss. So can't state how big of a job this is for West Virginia to get this done. Rich Rod, Zach Alley get a huge piece, and you look here at some of these numbers and you can see top 15 in the nation in multiple categories. He was top 5 in the country in interceptions, number 1 in the country in passes defended, top 5 in the country in coverage grade, top 15 in the country in PFF rating overall. So just an amazing numbers there from Michael Coates. But hey, let's take a look at, let his game speak for itself a little bit. Here's some clips from his own social media. As you see him there, 5'10", 175, kind of has a similar frame and body style to Beanie Bishop, who was very successful here. You see some of the accolades run down there. And there you see a great interception, has a great ability to break on the football. And this is a guy that you can put out man-to-man against the opponent's best wide receiver. He's going to be cornerback number 1 at WVU. I'd be shocked if he isn't. And he did play a lot of zone at Nevada, but when he was in man-to-man situations, really excelled, so he can do a bit of both, and he's going to be a great fit in Zach Alley's defense. I expect him to have a huge year at WVU, and I'm so excited that we got Michael Coach Jr. As you see some of the highlights there from the Nevada transfer that West Virginia picks up. And like I said, I know I covered him in a live stream, but I had to wax poetic about him a little bit more because I'm so excited that West Virginia was able to add him into the mix. But let's talk a little bit about some more upcoming visitors. And shout out to Jeff Cobb over on social media. I think he's at BGN, but he updated this list of visits to kind of confirm the dates. And I had, all these names on my visitor list previously, which I will pull up here on our transfer portal tracker to update you guys on momentarily. But just to kind of let you guys know where things stand currently here, January 10th. We're probably on commitment watch, once guys get to campus. So Dallas Holmes, Robbie Martin, watch out for those 2 names. I know we need to add some pieces to the offensive line. Add an in-state guy, and Robbie Martin would be great. I think we're on commitment watch there. Keep an eye on him. Marshall is in the mix as well. Do have to keep that in mind. I don't know if Dallas Holmes has any other visits scheduled, so watch out for that one as well. And then today, the day that I'm putting this out, we're supposed to have William Reed on campus, who would be a huge pickup for this offensive line, a day 1 starter if he could come in from Princeton. Really talented. If you go watch some of his film and see some of his grades and numbers from last year, he'd be a great player to have in this Rich Rod scheme. So would love to get William Reed in. We also have cornerback William Davis visiting for Virginia Union as we continue the theme of this video, trying to rebuild that secondary. And then over the weekend, we'll have Keenan Eck, a defensive end from the JUCO ranks there at Citrus College. We'll have an offensive lineman in Wyatt Minor from Youngstown State, but he is a West Virginia native. Played at Robert C. Byrd there in high school. West Virginia after him, Marshall after him as well. And then Mina Taimani, a huge offensive lineman from Ole Miss, nearly 350 pounds, will be in over the weekend as well. So we know that now West Virginia, after kind of revitalizing this secondary, is looking to the trenches, especially the offensive line, and I suspect to see some commits coming on that side of things here in the near future. But let's pull up our transfer portal tracker and talk about some other names that we're on commitment watch for as well. And I think some of those here are a lot of those that we just mentioned there that came in on visits, but there are still some others. As we see here at the top of the upcoming visitors list, I think that CJ Doggett, a WVU legacy, I still, am expecting and hoping for good news on him in the near future. Same goes for Adam Tomczyk, another defensive end from the JUCO ranks, the defensive lineman there. We just talked about Dallas Holmes. Justice Finkley was in on a visit back on January 7th. We'll see what happens with him when he decides to make a decision. Ty Edwards has been on campus. He's 6'4", 230-pound beast of a running back from a great FCS program in northern Iowa. Donovan Green is the next one that I would be super excited about coming on in as a tight end from Texas A&M, and we know there's a connection with West Virginia landing the quarterback from Texas A&M, Jalen Henderson, and talk more about Donovan Green momentarily. I just mentioned Mina Taimani from Ole Miss, who's going to be coming in. West Virginia looking to add guys in the trenches, and Kimo Makanaeoli fits that realm as well because he's been both an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman throughout his career. Believe he would stay a defensive lineman at WVU, but you never know what could happen. He just transferred over to the defensive line after playing on offense his first couple of seasons at LSU, but I think West Virginia are looking to bring him in on the other side of the trenches. West Virginia could use players on both. We talked about Wyatt Minor, Keenan Eck, Robbie Martin, William Reed, and William Davis, but we also have to mention another player that has been on a visit to WVU, and that's a junior college wide receiver from Butler Community College there, and Davion Walker has came in as well. So there's an update on some visitors that have been in recently, and some guys West Virginia is trying to get in just as this spring semester starts. I think that you'll see more commitments. I probably would not be surprised if more came down the line today. Maybe by the time you're watching this, you've already heard about it, but I wanted to get out a pre-recorded video to update kind of where things stand. And if more names come out throughout the day, you'll probably see me again in a live stream later this evening talking about future commitments for WVU. And I hope that one of those is Donovan Green. Let's talk about him a second before we wrap up. Yet again from WVSportsNow.com here, West Virginia football hoping to provide an opportunity for the Texas A&M transfer tight end Mike Ostie coming with this one. Can the WVU football staff work their magic and land another Texas A&M transfer after having locked up Jalen Henderson? West Virginia is also pursuing Donovan Green, and Green posted this on his social media saying, "What do you think? WVU football, am I home?" I, quote tweeted it and said, "Yes, come home." Let him know, Mountaineer Nation. He retweeted. He's been retweeting a lot of the responses, so it seems like he's feeling really good about WVU. And I saw someone say, at least, just commit already. And he even said soon or something to that effect. So things are looking good for West Virginia. And guys, this would be another huge pickup for this class. 6'4", 265-pound Green would provide another offensive weapon and more tight end depth. He had 22 receptions for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns in 22 before he had an ACL injury. But back in 2022, he was a freshman All-American that season. Looked great as a blocker, but when he gets the ball in his hands, super impressive, can run you over, can make you miss. He would be probably the most impressive tight end after the catch that we've had in quite some time. No offense to Cole Taylor. He was good in that aspect as well, but Green kind of takes it up a notch. 4-star recruit out of Dickinson High School in Texas originally. West Virginia's already brought in Johnny Pascuzzi, and they've also brought in Jacob Barrick, so they're continuing to add to the tight end room as West Virginia's replacing both Cole Taylor and Traylon Davis, and Donovan Green would be a huge pickup. So, on commitment watch, in my opinion, for Donovan Green, and as I mentioned, maybe Robbie Martin as well. We'll see what happens, but those are a couple names to watch as West Virginia will secure multiple more commitments over the coming days, in my opinion. And if those commitments come in, we'll cover them here on the CRW as we have throughout the transfer portal, and I'll try and keep you guys up to date on visitors, offers, all of that good stuff in transfer portal updates, whether it's in live streams or pre-recorded videos like this one. Hope you tune into either. Appreciate you tuning into this one. Like I said, before you head out, just do us a favor, fast, easy, and free. Helps you and helps me if you hit that like button. Really pushes this out to more Mountaineer football fans like yourself, and if you are one of those, be sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get all of these off-season happenings and stay up to date on what's going on throughout the WVU football program. Be sure to throw your thoughts in the comments. Who of the visitors would you most like to see commit next? And which one that has committed are you most excited about? Give me one on offense, one on defense if you'd like. I really appreciate y'all's interactions there in the comments. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.